Welcome to the Empowerment Hour, a podcast dedicated to the woman ready to take charge of her life, live in her purpose, and be unapologetically authentic. I am your host, Nancy Ruffin, award-winning author, mommypreneur, and the self-proclaimed Latina Oprah who is dedicated to helping women unleash their power, discover their purpose, and live up to their fullest potential. My goal is to empower you, inspire you, and help you unlock your passions and discover your purpose so that you live the most fulfilled and impassioned life. If you're ready to make a change and start living on purpose, then you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Empowerment Hour podcast. It's your girl, Nancy Ruffin, and it feels good to be with you guys this week. So much has happened. I am actively working with my partners to bring you guys the premier event of the year. The Female Collaborative presents in November, and I just recently wrapped up my Vision Board Boot Camp, which took place yesterday, and it was nothing short of amazing. It was everything that I expected it to be and more. We originally sold out the event, and unfortunately there were a handful of women who at the last minute, for whatever reason, were unable to attend. So our group was a little bit more intimate. And I think that really kind of set the tone for the kinds of event that we ended up having. Because of the smaller group, I think the energy was different, and with that I felt like the women were a lot more open. They allowed themselves to be more vulnerable, and the discussions and the conversations got really real. I went in with my set presentation because there were certain tools and strategies that I wanted to teach the women as it relates to planning your goals and staying on track and getting back on track when we lose focus. But in between those lessons, there was real dialogue that was happening amongst the women in the group. There was a lot of sharing. There was a lot of honesty. The women were sharing their real life experiences. And, one of the exercises that I spent a great deal of time on was helping the women get clear on their why. Yeah, when I talk about getting clear on your why, I mean understanding why you do the things you do or why your goals are important to you. So being able to create a why statement should always be used as your guide and your compass for whatever it is you set out to do in your life, whether it's your personal life, whether it's in business, whether it's, your career, your relationships, friendships. Everything that you do should revolve or be centered on that why. And now this specific topic, we spent a lot of time on it because I think at first glance, when we talk about why we do things and what motivates us, for many of us, particularly women, we believe that the things that we do are because of our families. One of the themes that was really popular yesterday when I asked individual women about their why, many of them said that their family was their why, that their children was their why. So everything that they do is to provide a better life for their families, to give more, to be more, but all for their families. And while that's great, and I think that a lot of what we do, right, and the reasons why we do things are so that we could live a better life and so that we can provide more for our families. But at a more individual level, when you kind of break that down and get a little bit deeper, the why should not be about other people, but more so about yourself, right? So that that thing that you set out to do, when you're really clear on why you're doing it, it'll push you during those times when you don't want to do it, right? Because let's be real, there are times that no matter how great our intentions are, no matter how passionate we are about the things we want to do, there are times when we're just not going to want to do it. We're human. We get tired. We're exhausted. We have 1,001 things, on our plate. We have tons of obligations that we commit ourselves to. And there's times when we just need a break and when we're not going to feel like taking action, right? And while that's perfectly normal and why I talk a lot about making sure that you can give yourselves, those breaks when needed, it's important to also be clear on when it's a break and when it's becoming just too much. And it's because now you just lost the desire to follow through. And so when you're clear on your why, you push through those obstacles. You push through not wanting to do it because it's that why that drives you. And so you know that even though you're feeling a certain way, you're not going to allow how you feel stop you from getting to where you ultimately want to go. So we talked a lot about this, and we talked about the why consisting of two elements. One being your contribution, and the second being the impact of that contribution. So your contribution would be that which you want to share, right, with the world or with whoever, as it relates to your own personal gifts, talents, skills, knowledge, and then the impact of that contribution. So the difference that you hope to make with your contribution. And it was a really interesting conversation because as we started to dig deeper and as we started to really look and work through that why statement, there was this young lady who, for her, she felt like, her why statement really revolves on trying to prove something to other people, which I found really interesting. Her why, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly what she said, but it was something to the effect to live her life her own way, to break the mold of what people traditionally imagine a woman's role should be, so that she can inspire and empower other people to feel like they can do it too because she's done it. And all of that really stemmed from her personal relationships with her parents and in her own family structure, because success as it relates to her family is equated with education and with having a great job and having a consistent weekly paycheck. Now, this young woman is a real estate agent, and so her salary and her income is not steady because it varies, and it's really dependent on how successful she is in renting and selling real estate, and that's a process. So for her, within her family structure, and this is what she said, she's seen as a failure. She's seen as a black sheep. And we talked a lot about this because I think one of the things that many of us struggle with in our lives is how other people define success for us, right? And there is an unlearning that has to take place within our own lives and how we kind of move in the world, because we have to define success for ourselves. Success is very subjective. So what success looks like for me may not necessarily be what someone else deems as successful. And until we let go of others' definition of success for ourselves, we're never going to feel fulfilled. We're always going to feel like failures, and we're always going to feel like we're not enough and we're not living up to certain expectations. And this was something that we kind of worked through yesterday. And, today I really want to kind of talk a little bit about that and how it affects everything that we do in our lives, even those goals that we set out for ourselves, and then for whatever reason, we don't accomplish it, right? But this example is a clear reason as to why we don't accomplish goals, because within our own minds and within our own belief system, because of how we were raised, because of how we've been taught to define success and how we've internalized all of that, when we don't live up to those ideals, right, we feel like failures. And so it becomes really hard to follow through with those goals that we say we want for ourselves, because somewhere deep down inside, it's not aligned with what we've been taught to think about of ourselves and about success in general. There was this other woman who talked about, she attended my vision board workshop back in January, and she was really excited, during that event. And she reached out to me and she would tell me, even within the first few days after the vision board, things had immediately started to manifest for her. But what she said yesterday was that there was still a part of her that was ashamed about her goals and about sharing them and even about wanting them. And so every time someone came to visit her in her home, whether it was her friends or her family members, she would run to hide her vision board because she didn't want anyone to see, I guess, what her goals were or what the vision was that she had for her life. She was embarrassed. She said she was living under a cloud of shame, and that it wasn't until one day where her daughter asked her, like, "Ma, why are you doing this? Why are you embarrassed? Why are you being shameful? Your actions are directly relating to what the universe is giving back to you." And I thought that was such a strong revelation. I mean, and something, especially to come from her teenage daughter, to see that and to be able to verbalize that to her mother and really force her mother to look at her actions and to see how she was thinking about herself and how she was thinking about her goals were manifesting in her life. In essence, they weren't manifesting because within herself, she wasn't believing it. She didn't even feel she was worthy enough for those things to happen. And then she was embarrassed. So by putting that energy out into the universe, that was exactly what she was getting back. And, I challenged her yesterday to really be bold with her goals, that she has to believe in them, no matter how outrageous it seems, no matter how unbelievable they may seem to other people, because the reality is other people do not have to believe in your dreams. In fact, more often than not, they're not going to believe in your dreams. They're going to criticize you. They're going to tell you, who do you think you are to have such big of a dream and such big hopes and such big visions for yourself, right? But those people who project that onto you, it's only a reflection of themselves. And because they can't see anything bigger for themselves, they can't see anything bigger for you. So I challenged her to go back home, to take a picture of her vision board and post it and put it out there and continue to put it out there no matter how uncomfortable it makes you, because eventually you will get used to the discomfort, and you will start to believe that you are worthy of the vision and the goals that you have set for yourself. When I first started calling myself the Latina Oprah, I mean, when you think about it, when you just even say it, it sounds ridiculous, right? And I'm sure there are people out there who see me, who see that, and in their minds, they may very well say, who does she think she is to be calling herself the Latina Oprah, right? And I spoke about this yesterday. My desire is not to become the next Oprah. Right? There's never going to be another Oprah. She's one of one. She has done some extraordinary things in life, in media and career that are unparalleled. No one is going to match what she's done, right? And what she's contributed. And that is not what I want to do. I want to contribute what I have to contribute. But for me, Oprah signifies the level of success that I want to reach on all levels, right? Because this is a woman who does not only live her purpose, she not only does what she's passionate about, right? But she's also actively giving back to her community, to others. And that's why she's so successful, because the more success she has, the more money she gets, the more opportunities she gets or that come across her way, she gives it back, right? She puts it back into her communities, into those charities, organizations, people that need her help. And so that is how I want to model my life. And when I think about Latinas who are in the same industry as Oprah, I have yet to see any Latina on her level. And so when I call myself the Latina Oprah, it's because I want to be the first Latina to get on the same level that Oprah has gotten to. I mean, she's a billionaire, right? I want to be able to achieve that level of success. And there's no doubt in my mind that that's going to happen for me. And I believe that it's going to happen because I work my ass off. I don't sit back and wait for opportunities to come to me. If they don't, I create my own opportunities. And I also create opportunities for other women and for other individuals to embrace who they are and to take a chance on themselves and to believe that they absolutely have within themselves all that they will ever need to accomplish their dreams. And that is why I do this podcast. It's why I write the books that I write. It's why I do my workshops and my female empowerment events, because my goal is to touch as many people, as many women as possible. There's absolutely enough success in this world to go around. I operate from a place of abundance. So for me, there's always enough. Right now, what I have is enough. I never operate from a place of scarcity where I don't think there's enough to go around. Because what happens is when you think that there isn't enough, that's exactly what you're calling into your life. So you're always going to be scrounging and scrapping and trying to figure out how to get the next thing, because in your mind, that's what you're calling to you. I'm the opposite. I absolutely believe that what I have right now is enough. And as I continue to accumulate more, it'll be enough at that time. Because when you work from that place of abundance, the universe continues to give you more. It's the law of attraction. I mean, it's just how life works. And so I want you guys, for those of you who struggle with that, for those of you who feel like you have to compete with others, or where you feel like you have to outshine somebody else so that you can get the limelight, so that you can be seen, and so that you can get all of the recognition, all of that is stemming from a place of scarcity, because you don't feel like there's enough for everyone to shine. You don't feel like there's enough to go around for everyone. As soon as you start shifting that mindset and you start believing that there absolutely is enough, you're going to get more wealth, more opportunities, I mean, everything, all of the right doors will start opening for you. You know, the human mind has the power to really accomplish anything that it believes of itself. And I understand that sometimes believing is the hard part, right? Because it's hard to believe things that haven't manifested yet, things that we haven't seen, things that we don't even know or understand how they will manifest. But you can't let the not knowing stop you from believing. Now, I was having this conversation. I had it yesterday and I had it the other day with this young man that I'm friends with, and he's a millennial, so his mindset is a bit different. But we were both talking about how there are certain generation of people who have a hard time thinking outside the box or believing that certain things are possible only because it hasn't been possible for them. And when I come across people like that, I always force them to think about all of the things we have today that at one time were non-existent. For example, airplanes, right? There was a time where they didn't exist. And had it not been for the Wright brothers to have the foresight of getting a contraption up in the air that can fly people from one point to the next, like a bird, right? We wouldn't have airplanes today. And I'm sure back then, when they had this idea and when they were sharing it with people, people were probably looking at them like they were crazy. I mean, because how can you visualize that when that didn't exist? There was nothing for people to compare it to. And so, yeah, if someone's saying, yeah, one day we're gonna have people fly across, the other side of the world the same way that birds do, they probably got laughed at a lot and they probably were doubted a lot. But it just goes to show that you can't allow other people doubting you stop you from doing what you know or you feel or you believe is possible. The same thing goes for microwaves. The same things go for cars, for cell phones, all of these things that were once non-existent. I mean, debit cards, right? Or these like chip cards where all your information will be stored on a chip. I mean, all of this at one point or another seemed ridiculous. People, it was like unheard of. And now we can't imagine our lives without all of these gadgets. And we have them because someone was courageous enough to believe in their crazy idea. And that's where I want all of us to get to a place where no matter how ridiculous the idea may seem right now, that if you believe strongly in yourself, and if you are passionate enough, and if you're willing to bust your ass and work hard enough, you can absolutely make that dream come true. And that's really the message that I want you all to take tonight. You and only you have the power to make things happen. You have to be willing to be ridiculed. You have to be willing for people to laugh at you. You have to develop a tough skin. So that's why, I proudly call myself the Latina Oprah, because I know that one day I will get there and I'm going to accomplish great things. And they won't be the things that Oprah accomplished. They're going to be the things that Nancy accomplished. And they're going to be equally as great and equally as impactful. And they're going to make an equal difference in this world and to everyone who I come across. And not because I think no one else can do it, but because I know I can do it, and I know that I have what it takes to follow through. And no matter how ridiculous it may sound to others, I believe in myself. I believe in my work ethic. I believe in my talents and in the skills and the gifts that I have to share with the world. And as long as I believe in myself and in God and in the higher being and in the universe that conspires to help those who are helping themselves, there's nothing I can't accomplish. One of the ladies on the evaluation form that I gave out after the workshop, because I always like to get feedback, and assess how well I did and what I can do better in the future. And there's a comment section, and one of the ladies asked if I would give a self-esteem confidence workshop. She thought that I would be great at facilitating that. And it's something that I want to think about doing, because I do have this incredible confidence, but this is something that I don't know if I was born with it. I don't know if it was instilled. I don't know if it was a result of the kind of parenting that I had. But me and my sister were both extremely confident women, and I don't know how to teach that. Right? I don't know how you teach self confidence and self esteem other than believing in yourself and releasing all of the negative talk that tends to live in your mind, and letting go of all of the negative things that others have said to you at one point or another, letting go of those feelings of inadequacy, of not feeling like you're enough, and understanding and learning and accepting that you are enough, even with your flaws, even with those things that make you different. Right? All of those things are what make us special. And I think that that's probably where I differ from many, because I don't take my differences or my flaws or my failures or all of those things that tend to seem negative. For me, they're not. I feel like they're all a positive part of my growth and of my experience. And without them, I would not be who I am. And I think I'm pretty great. Of course, there's always room for improvement, but you grow, you get wiser, and as long as you remain open to learning and being self-aware of yourself and of those flaws, and then how to correct them, I mean, there's no other way to go but up. And so I just want you all to get to that place. And just when you get those feelings of self-doubt, when that negative voice starts to creep up in your head, I want you to shut that shit down as soon as it pops up, and remind yourself who you are, how great you are, how phenomenal you are, and how powerful you are to create the life that you want. So I'm going to leave you guys with that this week. I would love to hear your feedback if any of this was helpful for you, or if you want to talk to me about some of the things that you struggle with. I would definitely love to hear that as well. So you can shoot me an email at info@nancyarroyoruffin.com. You can DM me on Instagram. You can message me on Facebook. Any way you know how to contact me, I'm open. And I would love to dialogue with you. You can even comment on one of my IG posts, and we can talk that way. All right, guys. So thanks for rocking with me for another week. And until next time, mi gente, make sure you go out there and crush some damn goals. You got what it takes, guys. Till next week. Good night.